A to the K.
To the K.
To the K. Hello, welcome to the A to the K Wrestling Show. We're going to do what we always do and kick things off by sending it over to Road Dogg for A to the K's little known fact of the week.
Oh, you didn't know?
Anthony, we've had forbidden doors opening everywhere this week. Firstly, we had New Japan, left, right, centre, everywhere. We had New Japan and AEW, but then on Raw, we even had several appearances from AEW wrestlers, including Chris Jericho. Mind blown. And obviously, with Money in the Bank
all
coming
thanks
up,
to Cody. Probably.
Cody's responsible for everything.
No man with a big door. Cody's built the bridge.
He has. Broke the throne and built the bridge. Watch out, Limp Bizkit. That's what I'm saying. But with Money in the Bank coming up, I was wondering, Anthony, did you know Money in the Bank was actually invented in large part by Chris Jericho? Now, I think we may have discussed this before, but our listeners, our watchers may not know this. But Jericho's original idea was to do a 6-way ladder match where the winner would receive a contract for a title match the next night. Now, he pitched it to former writer Bryan, who suggested maybe they could choose to cash in, the contract at any point over the next year. So between the two of them, they took it to Vince McMahon, who was like, "Hang on a minute, I'm busy in my office. Give me 5 minutes." And then topical. And then basically, Vince said, "I love it, but it needs to be a briefcase because then you've got some kind of trophy that can be carried around and used."
A fair point, to be honest.
So
imagine
basically,
trying to do the same thing with an actual contract.
It's just a piece of paper. Someone comes over and just goes, null and void. I mean, to be fair, why hasn't that happened? Just because it's in a briefcase, why couldn't someone just open the briefcase and just rip the contract up and go, "Ghosted for you"?
Presumably, that like the contract's still valid even if somebody damages it.
Nah,
presumably,
it's not how contracts work. I don't know.
I've watched enough law shows to know this.
But yeah, so there you go. It turns out we knew, but did you know? That's all I'm asking. Let us know. Did you know? I'm going to stop saying no. I'm going to throw it back over to Road Dogg. I know, yeah. Just basically, this segment's become, look how much smarter I am than you. But yeah, so until next time, I'll throw it back over to Road Dogg to sing us out of the segment.
Oh, you didn't know?
So, again, let's do what we always do. Let's flip it over and talk about WWE first this week, Anthony.
Well, let's not do what we always do, Carl. Let's do it better.
Let's do it better. You may have known if you follow us on Instagram. We said we're going to stop waffling, and here's what we're doing now, waffling already. But we're going to try and keep it, condensed, succinct, apropos. I just want to sound like Cody Rhodes. I don't know. He just says words. But yeah,
nightmare.
Nightmare.
You took all the good words.
That's apt. Yeah. Why are all the words associated with Cody Rhodes actually really bad? No, he didn't. Cena. John Cena returned, he did.
He did.
He had a big parade for him. Everyone was stood there clapping. He was shaking hands, kissing babies and that, I assume. I don't know.
Kissing hands and shaking babies.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. That's probably not good.
I can't remember where that's from. Do you ever remember that? When the guy's saying about he's like some sort of politician, and I genuinely can't remember what this is from. And he says about kissing hands and shaking babies, and they were like, shouldn't that be the other way around? He's like, that's probably why I lost the election. I was like, you just crack on after that. I was like, what the fuck?
I love it.
I genuinely can't remember what that's from, so there you go.
Yeah, me neither. If anyone knows, let us know. Remind us what that's from. But yeah, so Cena was there.
Let's cut the waffle out.
I know, yeah, Anthony. Cena was there, and he was obviously doing all that, and putting over the young talent, Street Profits, Ezekiel, had a little to do with Seth Rollins, and he also had a brief run in with Austin Theory, Anthony. So again, sparking some potential, rumors there that Cena and Theory gonna get it on at some point, which would be interesting. Oh yeah, didn't you know? And they might even wrestle a match at some point too. But yeah, so the even
the old
had...
five-knuckle shuffle.
Oh.
Anyway.
Yes. But as I said, Chris Jericho was there.
Myself as much as I did. I apologise.
Anthony is his biggest fan, everyone, if you hadn't known. But yeah, so they had Jericho there, as we know. via satellite. They had Big Show, Bryan Danielson, all AEW peeps, so that was kind of interesting. And basically, after all that, he came out and cut a promo just to say thanks. And I don't know when I'll be back, but when he is, it won't just be the one match. And then that was kind of it.
He's a bigger tease than Vince McMahon, right?
Basically, what is it with like these big build-ups for people to come out and just go, oh yeah, and then just leave again? It's
And I'm curious, Carl. All right, as part of all this Cena week, you had Liv Morgan, right? Did you see this on social media?
I did.
Dressing as Cena and angrily saying ruthless aggression to the camera.
Yes.
Honestly, Carl, that must have been rather confusing for you.
I don't know. I've saved the video to my phone.
It's a confusing erection, that surely.
Yeah, I just keep replaying it over and over and slapping myself in the face. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on, shall we? Yeah.
Okay, so Carl, Money in the Bank. The stage is almost set. On SmackDown, we had Drew and Sheamus. They were taken out of the match, and after being added back in, they have to win a tag match to get back in. So that's a little bit confusing.
Yeah, I mean the whole thing on SmackDown is fucking mental anyway. Like again, comes back to Adam Pearce. Why is he even there? It was like these guys got a double disqualification. You know, campaigning to get back in the match. He adds them back in, takes them out again, and now they have to basically win a match to get back in. So in out, shake it all about.
I just want to remind people that SmackDown for a while has been one of the strongest shows, and yet we're still getting this kind of confusing shit. Which, what?
It's not good. It's not good.
Yeah. We had Shotzi beating Tamina, which, yeah, probably the right call, in all fairness. We had Riddle picking up a win in the Battle Royal, so we have one spot on the men's side, I believe.
Yes.
And Becky got the win on Raw. Interesting, because I assume is this Becky's ascent back into the main title picture and away from the losing streak that they were kind of booking.
Maybe. I think she's a fair favourite to win the overall thing. Which
when you look, really, you kind of understand why. I personally, I think it'd be nice to see Shotzi winning it, to be honest, because she had all the potential to be a breakout star, and they haven't really done a lot with her just yet.
Yeah, I think the only thing Shotzi's going to be breaking his bones in that match, because she's off her head and just going to be flying all around. That's why she's in there. She's in that match to be the one that takes all the gnarly bumps, isn't she? Let's be fair. But yeah, so it's looking pretty well rounded now. Surprised that we still haven't got the final participants in Money in the Bank, but we'll chat about that in a minute for the men's side.
Do you think we'll chat about that in a minute.
Chat about that in a minute.
But despite some confusing moments, the stage is almost set, Carl. And let's face it, Money in the Bank, even a bad one's probably going to be a decent one. It is one of the big five now.
Fingers crossed. You did say it about the Rumble though, but we'll let that slide. So another one teased. Another one teased for SummerSlam. So we had the Miz in the ring for an interview, and he brought up a picture on the Titantron of Logan Paul getting ready for a return to the ring, it seemed. And Miz says, yes, they're going to be teaming up at SummerSlam. They're going to be tag teaming. And the interview guy's like, well, hang on a minute. You did turn on him at WrestleMania. And he's like, yes, I know, but, we're past that, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, ultimately, to me, it sounds like we're getting Logan Paul versus The Miz, which, ultimately, I wouldn't hate. Big fan of The Miz, and I think we were both pleasantly surprised by Logan Paul.
Well, I almost didn't want to say this. I'm not going to pretend like I'm young enough to understand why Logan Paul's famous, but he definitely, I know a lot of people disagreed with this, but to me, he has been the best transition into a non-wrestler to wrestler. When you look at the likes of Bad Bunny and Pat McAfee, and I personally think he's been the most impressive in the ring on his first match. Yeah, and I'll be clear on that, because I know Bad Bunny's had a few appearances now and he does look really good. And a lot of people, I think, love that sort of connection that he has, when he's obviously repping a lot of the Eddie Guerrero stuff and stuff like that. But I personally think Logan he seems to be a natural athlete in some level. Again, you look at the boxing crowd and they go, he's not a real boxer and so on like that. And I think our crowd are doing it as well. He's not a real wrestler, but let's let it go. If one place he can play up his personality over his in-ring skill, it's going to be WWE. And yeah, I'm all for it, like you say.
Yeah, I think it was a pretty good fit, to be fair. So I think, and it makes sense having Miz and Logan Paul together. That seems like a rivalry that would really work. So surprisingly, yeah, interested to see.
Indeed. I'll keep the next one brief, Carl, because I don't know about you, but I could give a fuck. We got a Cody promo, and why
Yes,
do I
did.
not give a fuck? It's not anything against Cody. It's because this was a promo for promo's sake. I'm still here. Aye, Money in the Bank's going to happen without me. And, I'm going to remind you that, I'm still an awesome guy. And Seth Rollins, I'll be the first to congratulate him, even though that we've got a rivalry at the minute, But, I'm an awesome guy, so I'm obviously going to congratulate him and take the high ground because I'm Cody. That's the promo right there.
Yeah.
Did we need it other than to remind people that Cody's in WWE?
I think to me this stunk of, well, we're paying him shitloads of money and he's not around, so at least let's get him on TV. So
This is annoying though, because there's so many things you could do with the man. Like, he's not like the youngest guy around, so like I only say that as an example of like why he could be like on screen, he could be managing people, he could be doing anything, but instead they're just going to cut a promo to remind you that he kind of has a rivalry with Seth and Money in the Bank's happening. Both things which I've been reminded of recently anyway.
Yeah, it did feel a bit out of place, especially when you had Cena. It was almost like Cody said, "Well, I want to be made to feel just as important as Cena, and even though I can't be there, I want a promo segment." But yeah, it just didn't make sense. He essentially was doing a poor advertisement for Money in the Bank, where he was just running down everyone who was in the match and going, "Well, this guy's really good, and this guy's really good, and this guy's really good, and you've got Seth, and if Seth wins it, I'll be the first to congratulate him," as if to say, like, "What are you going to do, mate? You're on the shelf for 9 months, so."
But this is the thing. This is the kind of stuff, right, that I don't like about Cody as a gimmick. I don't know if it's like a gimmick or a person thing, but as a gimmick, because I don't know him in real life. But he's done a promo where he's talking about how great everyone else is, yet somehow it's all about Cody.
Oh yeah, always.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, I think these people are wonderful. Look at me. And it's like, why?
Because he's Cody.
Honestly, if he was there on Raw, right? If he wasn't injured and he was there on Raw, we'd have probably got a 12-minute Cody entrance just for him to shake hands with John Cena and leave.
Yeah, probably. To be fair, that's the way that the booking was going, wasn't it? So, yeah. But yeah, it's odd, but yeah, I suppose let's keep him fresh in people's minds for some reason. Now the next one, Anthony, might surprise you. So we're gonna swing it over to SmackDown, and I actually quite enjoyed this little bit by Natalya. So she came out dressed up as Ronda Rousey, complete with a stroller, and pushes it to the ring, and basically did a pretty fine job of just, like, to me, I'm not the biggest Ronda fan anyway, especially the second run, but I'm struggling who's the babyface here, right? Because I was eating this up, to be fair. Like, Natty was really good. I was pleasantly surprised with the way that she came across, because typically she isn't really known for being a talker as such. So
yeah, I'll give you that.
In all, I actually quite enjoyed it, and I think her social media game, she stepped that up a lot recently as well. There was something she put out there that just had me in stitches, which was like Ronda was going on about getting Botox and things like that. So Natalya said, "Well, if I'm going to get jabs, it's only because I want to. The reason you're getting jabs is because you've got no defense or whatever. You can't keep your hands up," something like that, which I was like, ooh, savage. So, to be fair,
they went in for each other, to be fair, in the Twitter battle, because didn't she say something about having like an OnlyFans? I don't know if she has an OnlyFans, but she mentioned something about doing spicy videos with her sister, didn't she, as well?
Yeah.
And then Natty fired back at that. And again, it's I'll give points to both of them on that. I think their little Twitter spat has been really good for their feud.
And by all accounts, they are actually quite close friends as well, so it's all done in jest.
Yeah, so there's no way. I think it's nice when you can do that, because they know sort of how far they can go with each other without it turning like to a beef.
Not like a Brett and Sean thing with like Sunny Days comments and just really
exactly. Which is iconic, but for the wrong reason.
Indeed, but yeah, just props where they're due. Fair play to Natalya. Actually got me somewhat invested in this because I didn't really care, but fair play.
Indeed. Another quick one from me, I'm afraid, Carl, but just an interesting one, I suppose. That the Viking Raiders have returned as heels. Don't know what you make of this. But I think, considering the main thing we've seen of them was the sort of goofball stuff they were doing with the Street Profits, it's interesting. I think they've had enough time away to change. What do you make of it? What do you make of this?
Interesting, to be fair, the fact that they have brought them back as heels, because typically they've been used in like comedy bits or just thrown together with Drew McIntyre, because, that makes sense.
Like, gimmick-wise, they could be kind of intimidating and heel-like, couldn't they? I know it's still kind of, you can't take it 100% serious because they are dressed as Vikings, but at the same time, it's an intimidating look, isn't it? So
absolutely.
I think it could work well as a heel gimmick.
To be fair, it came across quite well. I don't think that there's a lot of tag teams in WWE at the moment. So
there's definitely not.
I guess if they're going to bring them out to feud with the likes of New Day, other than Los Lotharios, I can't think of another heel tag team that they've got on.
I kind of hope if they're bringing the Viking Raiders in as heels, that the end game is them and the Usos at some point.
Well, that's interesting as well, isn't it? We'll cover that when we get on to Money in the Bank, but they're going up against Street Profits again, and it's like, are they going to beat them again? Like, is there going to be a time where, is this time up for the Usos kind of thing? So, interesting, but fair play. It was a bit of a shock to see the Viking Raiders back, especially as heels, and they did lay waste to New Day and Shanky as well, so interesting.
So, again, I sincerely hope this is them getting a push, and it's a stepping stone to the tag titles.
Indeed. And the last one I want to talk about in terms of the stuff that's happened on the WWE this week, Pat McAfee, man. Am I the minority here? I just don't like him. I just don't get the guy. He bugs me. He massively bugs me. I think I might have used this example before, maybe for Pat, maybe for someone else, I can't remember, but I think you likened it to something that someone says on the OC, but he's not funny. He's big, he's loud, he's obnoxious. And
it is. It's the OC, isn't it?
I think so. And it's like, people seem to really gravitate to it. And even like The Rock was giving him props on Twitter this week, saying, what a great promo and all that kind of thing. And it's like, but it wasn't though. It legitimately wasn't. He called
He's one
Baron
of them
Corbin,
examples, isn't he? Whatever you do it with enough energy and people will be happy with it.
Yeah.
Like, that seems to be the ethos. But I'm with you. I don't find him entertaining. I don't know if it's like a Marmite thing. Some people absolutely love him and some people just don't like him. But I'm certainly in the don't like him.
Could be another Kyle O'Reilly thing, to be fair. I think we're the only two people who really just don't like that guy. But, yeah, I don't know. Maybe the bar's just so low at the minute that he can quite easily step over it because there's not much else going on that is on that level. But I don't know. I just can't take to him. And who really wants to see Pat McAfee and Corbin?
It's just crazy when you see the likes of The Rock giving him props for his promo skills, and The Rock probably being one of the most iconic in terms of mic skill and promo, and it not being a patch on the sort of stuff you got back in the day. And I know some people probably.
I wonder whether he just kind of did it to be nice because he name dropped The Rock in the promo.
Well,
So maybe
maybe
he's just like, he said my name, so I'll give him some props.
And don't be wrong, I know on a level like promos can't be what they were back in The Rock's day. I get that, but I don't know. To me, this is the problem. It might not even be a Pat McAfee thing or even a character thing. It may just be the fact that there's no base for this, really.
No.
There's nothing worse than having to cut a promo when there's literally no beef or feud yet.
I think it literally...
He's just come out and he wants to talk shit and there's not a lot to say. And we see this a lot with WWE because either they've done that many promos in a rivalry that's happened so much that there's just nothing left to say, or the feuds just come way the fuck out of nowhere and there's literally nothing to say.
Yeah, I feel like to put on this big spectacle of a match between the two of them, because I think Corbin said something or questioned a comment he made on commentary. It's the same thing any time a commentator gets in the ring, it's because someone didn't like what they said. It's just been done so much that you just don't really care. But no, I wasn't a big fan of this personally, but a lot of people seem to love it. So fair play. The guy's clearly enjoying himself, having the time of his life. So more power to him.
Not to throw shots at McAfee, because I know he's actually quite credible in the ring, more so than like you or I. But how is it we've had so many actual wrestlers on commentary over the years? The likes of Samoa Joe, the likes of Beth Phoenix, the likes of Wade Barrett. And yet every time something like this happens, it's always a guy who's not really a wrestler.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Because
Yeah,
it's not going to
strange.
end in a great spectacle of a match, is it?
No, it really won't. So, yeah, I don't know. But it is what it is. And I think before we move over to AEW's, Anthony, I just got a question for you. So, obviously, we've got all the participants announced in the women's Money in the Bank, but not for the men's. There's one place left. So, in terms of the lineup, we've got Riddle, we've got Seth Rollins, we've got Drew McIntyre, Omos, Sheamus, and Sami Zayn. So, who's number 7? Who's lucky number 7 going to be? Who do you
Cody
think?
Rhodes. He's literally going to win it with one arm tied behind his back.
Do you remember that year? Was it Brock who just randomly returned and just wasn't even in the match? And just walked down, climbed the ladder, and that's how he got the Money in the Bank briefcase. Wasn't even in the match.
Yeah.
That's when we got Boombox Brock. I don't know. Like, do you think actually Cody, or is this just you?
I'm just being a dick. But I don't know. I do think it might be a wild card. I think we could see a surprise return, maybe. I don't know how they're going to include them without it being announced. Whether they're going to say, "Oh, we've got our last participant and it's a mystery opponent" or whatever, even though everyone else had to qualify in some way. I don't quite know how I'm going to work that in my head, but I do think it's going to be a surprise person.
Okay, I like that. I like the sound of that. I'm drawing a bit of a blank in terms of who it could be, in terms of who's actually left. I don't think Orton's cleared yet.
Brock?
So, I mean, it could be Brock, but at the same time, he's already got his match with Roman at SummerSlam, so why would he need the briefcase? That's where I don't understand. Bobby, maybe AJ Styles. Don't know what he's doing at the minute. Big E, yeah, I don't think he'll be ready.
I don't know when he was due back. I feel like he's been off for a bit of time now.
Yeah, well, he's basically broke his neck, didn't he? So it's going to be a lengthy one. But yeah, I genuinely don't know, which is going to be interesting because we're going to be giving predictions on this at some point today. So we better think quick. But yeah, could be Kevin Owens. Is he going to do something with Ezekiel, or could it even be Ezekiel or Elias? Maybe.
Funny if we have Ezekiel versus Kevin Owens and Elias in the Money in the Bank.
That would be fantastic, actually. Genuinely would. But yeah, so let's mosey on over to AEW's, Anthony. And I want to talk about the one and only Christian Cage, because we're not going to talk about too much of the stuff that got set up for Forbidden Door, because we've got a whole segment talking about the results of that. So we're going to talk about the things which weren't really Forbidden Door related as such. So obviously Christian Cage, he turned on Jungle Boy and laid him out, and apparently he's actually legitimately injured, so add him to the injury list of people who are going to be out for a long time. But Christian came out and did his best Christian things. He was a dick, right? Christian is a fantastic dick. And
I think, and I'll be honest about myself here, I constantly kind of overlook Christian, right? Until he starts doing heel work, and then I remember how fucking good he is at being a heel.
It's one of the best.
I did it the same. People love, people always class Edge as the breakout star, but let's face it, when they first split up and Christian was going for his heel gimmick of being on his own at last, that was fucking brilliant. And every time he's a heel, he's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, he was so good. I absolutely loved his stuff in WWE, and obviously he has been somewhat of just a cheerleader in AEW, and this was the perfect way to do it. Basically, he came out and said he's not here to elevate young talent and all this kind of stuff like the likes of CM Punk's here to do. He's here to make a shit ton of money. And he talks about Jungle Boy's mum, saying that he thinks that she took a bit of a shine into him and maybe she wants him to be Jungle Boy's daddy. But it turns out he doesn't want to be his father figure because Jungle Boy has a dad and he's dead. And it was like, wow, that is pretty low. Mean. Terrible things, and he's like, it's probably a good thing he's dead because he'd be ashamed of what Jungle Boy's turned into. So absolute brutal stuff. So fair play. He was a bit stumbly actually, which is unlike Christian. So he did muddle his words a little bit, but he hasn't really had that many promos in a long time. So I'm sure he'll find his feet again. But I don't think it was a knock on the promo itself because it was really good.
What you say?
But after all of that, Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus comes out and basically chokes the life out of him. So Christian basically manages to get his way out of it, gets in Luchasaurus's head, says that they need to talk, and the end kind of giving each other a big hug. So where's this going to lead now? Are we going to get Luchasaurus's Christian's kind of muscle? Are we going to maybe see Luchasaurus lose the mask in the gimmick? Is he just going to be The big dude.
Oh, it's going to be Christian and the gullible dinosaur. But,
so who knows where it's going? But I'm intrigued. I mean, especially with Jungle Boy out for a while.
I think this could be them stepping away from Jungle Boy. I think they'll put Christian and Luchasaurus together so that when Jungle Boy comes back, he can come back as Jack Perry.
Oh, I think you say Jungle Man.
No longer a Jungle Boy. But now, I think he's going to drop the whole jungle thing.
Might do, to be fair.
Might even have a whole new aesthetic. He might cut the hair and everything. I just don't know. But
that would be
I'm
weird.
Just saying. I think this is they're going to use the time away to transition Jungle Boy away from the jungle. And
interesting.
Bring him into the city. He'll be a city boy now. That sounds weird.
City life. I'm far away from no one.
Can I just give a shout out to the long term booking that is Christian's t-shirts?
Oh, that was fantastic as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, because I just love how he worked it from outwork everyone to worked everyone. I just thought that was quite funny.
Genius.
Well
he is
played,
absolutely
Chris.
Genius.
Well played.
So yeah, excited to see where this whole thing goes, to be fair.
Indeed. So next one I'll mention, Carl, and we'll probably elaborate a little bit more at Forbidden Door. But it's the fact that Danielson has announced that not only can he not compete at Forbidden Door, also he can't compete at Blood and Guts due to injury. Obviously, we got this announcement of a hand-picked replacement, which we can, again, elaborate on when we get there. But, yeah, it's a little bit shit, really, that it seems like, I don't know how long-term it is, but, you know, it's like, that's 2 pay-per-views now, isn't it? That's he's not going to be around for. And, you know, I don't like to speculate in a negative way, but is this, again, does go back to old injuries, does it go back to concussion or neck-related, you know, due to the previous concerns he's had, or what? I mean, where does Danielson sort of go from here? It seems to. I'm hoping it's not like, again, I don't like to speculate in the same way, but hopefully it's nothing that he can't sort of come back from. But at the same time, it sort of kind of puts the kibosh on any current storylines going now.
Yeah.
So are we just gonna put a stop to that, and then whatever he does come back doing, is he still going to be part of the Blackpool Combat Club? Is he still going to be carrying on doing that sort of stuff, or are we going to get something totally different all over again?
Yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? I think just not knowing how long he's out for, the length of time that, you know, he is going to be not part of the kind of whole thing going on. I mean, it'd be interesting to see if he shows up at Blood and Guts just to kind of cheer people on and that kind of thing, even though he's not in the match, or how that's going to work.
I'm very curious to see how much of a part of it he remains while not in the ring action.
Yeah, I mean, it's safe to say he's absolutely been going for it, hasn't he, in his time in AEW, so hopefully he hasn't kind of overdone it and it isn't kind of old injuries flaring up again, because they obviously kept him on the shelf for quite some time last time, so let's be optimistic, hope that it's nothing too serious and he just didn't feel 100% for 2 very physical matches at the end of the day, so fingers crossed, but we will know more tonight when Blood and Guts takes place, won't we? Bloody guts. So the next one, now this is such a good match and such a shame that we couldn't get to do it.
Just before we do, you've just made me realise I need to correct myself. I referred to Blood and Guts as a pay-per-view. It's not, is it?
It's just, I mean, it's so
it's
good.
Special Dynamite.
It's so good that it should be a pay-per-view, but you get it for free on
I need
free
to call
TV.
myself on it though, because otherwise I was the guy who called it pay-per-view when it wasn't.
I mean, at least you didn't call it a premium live event. I think I did that when I was talking about Forbidden Door. So,
I mean, aren't they all premium?
Who's really worse here, right? But yeah, so Andrade, Rey Fenix, banger of a match on Rampage, and I've just got I feel so sorry for these guys because by all accounts they were scheduled to be on Forbidden Door, but something to do with some deal that they've got with AAA means that they couldn't take part. I don't know whether there's bad blood there between New Japan and AAA, because there certainly isn't between AAA and AEW, so it's a strange one. But there was a bit of back and forth on Twitter with Andrade and Conan. So
Conan?
Yeah, you know Conan. Yeah, we had some interesting stuff with Conan on Twitter, didn't we? But
not necessarily us, but it was fun to watch.
Well, not us, but yeah, it was on one of our posts that we posted, and yeah, we got to get the popcorn out and just watch it all unfold. But anyway, so yeah, it's an interesting one because there's definitely frustration there with Andrade in particular in terms of the AAA deal and stuff like that. So that might be one to watch. But regardless, you know, the match that they put on was excellent. 2 of, you know, Mexico's best, absolutely killing it. And we got to see Rush El Toro Blanco finally kind of make his debut. We saw him in like a backstage thing a while ago, but he essentially cost Phoenix the match, and then essentially they've now formed La Faction Ingovernable, basically in Mexican, I don't know.
Wow. Yeah.
Ingovernable.
Quite the linguist.
Yes.
I'm giving you shit. I'm not even trying to say it.
Yeah, go on. Have a go.
Yeah, ingovernable.
Okay, say the whole thing though. That's where I struggled.
That's what. Oh, le fasci.
I mean, the guy can't even say le, right? So who's really the linguist?
I'm from the. We're from the Mersey region. That's
la faction ingoverable, mate. But yeah, so fair play. We've got another faction, but one which looks like it could mean business, and it's interesting to see whether Andrade is completely done with the Andrade family office stuff now, and it's just going to be a focus on this, or how that kind of all unfolds and where we go. But I think it'd be a good thing if he was done, and kind of can concentrate on this faction. But yeah, interesting times and fantastic match. Shame they couldn't get to do it or be involved in Forbidden Door.
Agreed. Yeah. And as you say, absolutely bang of a match. Definitely, if you haven't watched anything else, watch that one. Definitely.
Indeed.
So, Carl, last thing I need to mention, I suppose, would be Serena Deeb and Mercedes Martinez. And I don't know what you thought of this over the last few weeks, but Deeb and Martinez seem to have forged somewhat of a tag team, but it's essentially built upon the fact that they're trying to outdo each other. Mm-hmm. And you've got to assume this is heading towards a feud, and hopefully for the Ring of Honor Women's title.
Seems like it could go that way. Does seems like, you know.
If that's what we're getting, do you think we're going to see Martinez or Deeb? Because I think Deeb so deserves the title. I mean, Martinez is incredible, but I think Deeb's been putting the work in with AEW for some time now.
Well, yeah, I mean, Martinez, obviously the current champion, so I think that we're going to see some kind of, you know, fallout between them two that sees Deeb turn on Martinez or something like that, and maybe we get something at the upcoming Ring of Honor pay-per-view for the belt. But Deeb has obviously been NWA champ and was very close to being AEW champ, so it's a kind of a natural progression for her, I would say, storyline-wise.
Yeah, I mean, it feels the right choice, but I know there's some level of thing of going, well, you know, Deeb is like the veteran out of the two of them in a way, so she should, like, the bump should really be for Martinez to retain. But I don't know. For me, I feel like you say, it's a good one to add to Deeb's legacy, isn't it? I really hope that's what they do.
It's definitely an interesting one. It could be big for Ring of Honor to get Deeb as the champ as well. So it depends which way you look at it, but exciting to see that's the route to go down. Mm-hmm. So that's in terms of everything that did happen. So briefly, let's just have a chat about tonight, because we always do this. We put this out, I think it's like tomorrow morning by the time it goes live, and then we're behind when it gets to Dynamite. So that's what we do, a bit of speculation, if you will. So Blood and Guts taking place. Obviously, as we said, Danielson will not be taking part. So he's been replaced by, spoilers if you've not seen Forbidden Door, Claudio Castagnoli, the former Cesaro. So essentially, we've got the Jericho Appreciation Society, which is now Jericho. Sammy Guevara is in there now. We've got that tag team 2.0, whose names I always forget. Danny Garcia and Jake Hager taking on Kingston, Moxley, Claudio. Who the hell else? Let me look at this picture. Who else is in the Blackpool Combat Club? Oh no, it's not even them, is it? It's so Yuta, but then it's also Santana and Ortiz. So they're just kind of involved in it as well on Kingston's side.
Jericho, that makes sense.
Yeah. So interesting. Obviously, at the pay-per-view, Forbidden Door, Jericho went over. So does this mean we're going to get the Blackpool Combat Club? For me, we should do, because if you think about it, JAS went over at the last AEW pay-per-view as well, didn't he? Which is obviously where Danielson got injured and stuff as well. So it's got to be the Blackpool Combat Club. This is Blood and Guts. This is where we need to show.
It naturally sits that way for a lot of reasons. I mean, I feel like including Sammy sort of says it to me that, like, they know the heat he's getting from the crowd at the moment with him and Tay. So, like, people really want him to lose, and they'll push a lot more people to favour the Blackpool Combat Club. And I feel like it just seems like naturally the right decision. But who knows? These things are so unpredictable.
Indeed. But Yeah, I think it's going to be Combat Club. It's the only choice really, because you can't have the JAS going over. I mean, their whole shtick is it's entertainment, and then you've got Blackpool Combat Club who are meant to be absolute bruisers and shooters, and then it's like they're losing all the time. So you have blood and guts. It needs to go to the BCC, doesn't it?
But ironically, if the Blackpool Combat Club beat them, that would be entertaining. So do they win, really, in a way?
This is true. I mean, we're pretty obviously going to get some kind of Jericho being a wizard in a fireball situation, I would assume, because obviously.
He's really trying to... This is the one time I'm not with Jericho.
Yeah.
I'm not digging the wizard thing. I don't think
it feels like one of his...
He's normally the master of getting shit over, but...
Yeah, it's the poorest of his latest attempts, isn't it? To be fair, which is a shame. But so obviously that's the main selling point of tonight's show. But we've also got 3 other segments announced. So we had an open challenge for Jade Cargill. That's been answered by Layla Gray. Don't know too much about her to be honest, but again,
I don't. But
I would imagine it's going to be some kind of squash match for Jade, because they're kind of leaning towards Athena or Statlander or something as the one, the next kind of potential challenger. So you would assume pretty much a straight up squash there for Jade. We've also got Orange Cassidy and Ethan Page, which is an interesting one because, I mean, essentially they've got stuff going on with Wardlow, haven't they? Lambert and that. So mad to kind of just put Orange Cassidy in the mix, but okay, why not? And we're going to hear from Christian Cage again. So can he one up the promo he gave last week? So let's see.
Let's see, indeed.
All to be seen tonight at Blood and Guts.
Tonight.
So, yeah, that was it. So we didn't quite do it in 30 minutes, like people said. If we were Domino's right now, you'd be getting your pizza for free. But you didn't. Instead, you got this wonderful content for free, because sometimes we can't fit this much entertainment into 30 minutes, Just
God damn it.
But, yeah, so another fun-filled week.
We're just 2 men.
Oh, what's coming next? Don't mention anything about cups. That's all I'm going to say. So, yeah, another fun-filled week in the world of wrestling. Obviously, Cena comes back, so I don't think he's back. That was pretty clear, but he will be soon. And when he is, it won't just be for a one-off match. So we had Brock the previous week. Now we got Cena. Who's rocking up next week? That's going to be fun to see. And why not? Might as well be at this point. And in AEW, obviously, Blood and Guts. It's the kind of... We've had Forbidden Door. That's kind of all... Like one chapter closed. There's now time to set up everything going forward. Like who's Moxley going to be defended against? Why CM Punk's out? So much stuff to look forward to. But until then, we will bid you a farewell. And here is the one and only Thunder Rosa to say goodbye.
Hey everybody, this is Thunder Rosa, and you're watching or listening A to the K. A to the K.
A to the K.